That works. Good evening, everybody. We'll get started in about 2 more minutes. Hope everybody hope that the storms that have come up the East Coast decide to avoid us this evening. All right.
I don't know. Can anybody see me here? Oh, there I am. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paige Durham, and I am the instructional designer at Germanna Community College. And we're going to be talking about some Zoom basics. So let's begin. Do you Zoom? If you don't, you're going to. All right. As I said, my name is Paige Durham. I am the instructional designer. I've been at Germanna for 5 years, and today our chat facilitator is the great Gannon Nordberg from Lord Fairfax Community College. And so please make sure that you put all of your questions in the chat. Your microphones and your camera can be on, but your microphones have all been muted. So if you have any questions, please type them in the chat. If I'm going too fast, you can let me know that in the chat as well. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. At the end of this session, you can turn your microphones on and ask any questions that were not answered during this session. All right, so let's go and Zoom. So for this evening, we're going to customize your Zoom profile. We're going to talk about customizing your personal meeting room settings. We're going to talk about how to schedule a new meeting. We're going to talk about the Zoom meeting settings. And then finally, we're going to talk about the Zoom mobile apps for mobile devices. So let's begin by talking about customizing your profile. So when you go to log into Zoom, you are going to go to your My VCCS or My GCC or whatever school you're associated with. You're going to go to that page, and then you're going to log in. You should get to a screen that looks something like this. Now, this screen that you see may have some few different tiles on it, but the one you're looking for is the one that says Zoom. When you click on Zoom, I always prefer to use the settings button to get into my Zoom meetings. So I'm going to click on settings. And now you can see you have lots of choices here. So we're going to start with our profile. So your profile is going to, over here on the left, you're going to click on profile. And then you can add a picture. You can choose to customize your personal link. So if you wanted to change your personal meeting room from this number that you see here, you could actually customize. If you click on customize, you're going to be able to come up with your own personal link for your personal meeting room. Now, this is not for all of your meetings. Again, that would just be for your personal meeting room. Now, you could choose to use your personal meeting room for all of your meetings, but we're going to assume that you won't. Okay, and the rest of this is just kind of standard information. You do have the ability to connect to your calendar, whether that be Google or Outlook, and sync that between the two. You can see that I do not have that synced with my Outlook. I do have it synced with my email.bccs.edu account. So that is your profile. So what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to customize your own profile. I don't think that worked. Let's try again. Here we go. So now, I told you one way, but there is a second way, and that is by using the email, the web address, bccs.zoom.us. And then you're going to get to the single sign-on page, which is the same as going through your college portal. The last way is, of course, the Zoom mobile app, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. So for the first activity, I would like for you to go to your page and log in. Click on the Zoom tile, then of the three buttons, click on Settings, click on Profile, add a picture of yourself if you'd like, change your personal link if you'd like, and also optional to connect to your calendar or contact service. I'm going to give everybody about 2 minutes. Then we'll come back and move on. All right, that's my little handy dandy timer. So hopefully everybody was able to at least get to the Zoom and get to your profile so that you could kind of see what it was going on as far as what you could create. You can always come back, and we will also post this Google slide deck as part of our webinar series. All right, let's move on. Customizing your personal meeting room. So if you remember a minute or two ago, I talked about adding your personal link to your personal meeting room, and we're going to go ahead and go to that. So if I go back to my page where my Zoom settings are, and now I'm going to click over here on meetings. And now you can see that I have some meetings scheduled, but we're going to get there. But I want you to click on, when we get in just a minute, we're going to go to the personal meeting room. So this is my personal meeting room that I can use for what I'll call on the fly meetings. So I generally don't use this one for like virtual office hours or very specific meetings. I use this one, I'll call it my on the fly or just in case meeting room. When you get to this page, it's going to ask you to complete some things. So I'm going to scroll down here and pretend that I haven't already made these settings so that you can follow along. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to see two choices for host and participant video. I always leave both of these options on. And if you choose to turn them off, then you can mute yourself or you can turn the video option off. The next option underneath that is audio. And I use both because sometimes the connection on the audio doesn't always work great. So I leave it on both. The last group of options are enable join before host. So let's say if you're going to be a little late to a meeting or you knew you had some people who want to show up early, you could click that. You could also choose mute participants upon entry, which means everybody that comes in automatically comes in muted, and then either you can unmute them or they can unmute themselves. I do enable a waiting room. So that kind of gives you some time, and a waiting room is a really great thing to use if you're using Zoom for virtual office hours and you don't want someone to automatically show up in the middle of you having a one-on-one conversation with someone else. The last option, record the meeting automatically. You do have cloud storage with your Zoom account if you are faculty and staff. Students, however, do not have cloud storage capability, so they can still record, but they would have to do it to their local device, so their computer or their phone. And then the last place is alternative host. So for example, we're using someone else's meeting room this evening, and I was made a alternative host as well as Gannon, so that we could have access to do things like record and let people in from the waiting room and things like that. So I have another little activity for you. And when you're finished with that, you need to make sure you click save. Once you've done that, you can see you can add things to your other calendars, as well as if you click on copy the invitation, that gives you the phone number and all of the very specific information. So if you would be so kind, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do another activity. I'd like for you to click on your meetings, click on your personal meeting room, toggle both video options to on, or you can choose yours is on and the participants is off. Toggle both audio options to both, and then you can choose whichever options you feel are appropriate for your personal meeting room and click save. All right, so 2 minutes, ready, set, go. And our time for that little activity is up. Okay, I'm going to take a pause right here. So I want to make sure that everybody is in the right place. So what I would suggest, if you haven't done already, is when you need to do the activities, you can minimize the Zoom screen. And to do that, if you hover over it's at the top of the Zoom window, you should have an option to exit full screen, and that will allow you to minimize or make the screen full screen. So if you're having a little trouble with seeing those things, just let me know. Also, when you click on the Zoom in your VCCS account, you probably are going to, your Zoom tile may not be in the exact same place. So don't worry about that. And when you go in, you're going to click on the settings that should allow you to update your profile information like we've already done and your personal meeting. All right, so let's go on. So how do you schedule a new meeting? So this is the fun part. So to schedule a new meeting, I'm going to go back to my Zoom window. And now I'm going to actually go over to the left and I'm going to click on meetings. And this is a Zoom basics webinar. So we are going to keep it very basic, and I'm not going to talk about some of those other options that you see over there in the menu on the left. So let's say we want to schedule a new meeting. So as you can see, I have a couple here. So I'm going to click on schedule a new meeting. And I'm going to call this my, I always give my meetings titles. And sometimes if I'm doing this for virtual office hours or meetings with students, I do actually put something in that description area. The next thing is you can pick the date. So I want to have a meeting tomorrow. So I'm going to click on that. And I certainly do not want it at 8 p.m. because that's a Friday night, and who wants to be working on Friday night at 8 o'clock? Okay, so, and I just want a really short little 30-minute meeting, so I'm gonna change the minutes before I actually change the hour. And we are obviously in Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that is the same for yours. Now, as I said to you before I go on, this is not a reoccurring meeting. This is a one-time thing. So I'm going to continue on, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and see what we can do to hold on just a second. I understand that might be a little bit more helpful to you all. So here you have the reoccurring meeting, which is what I was just talking about. So the meeting that I'm creating for you as a test is going to be a one-time thing. So I'm not going to check that box. The next area that you see here is a meeting ID. You can use your personal meeting ID and change the title, or you can have Zoom automatically generate an ID, which is what I choose to do in order to make it so that I don't have the same personal ID with multiple meetings and then miss getting in the wrong room. Okay, the next thing, again, you have the video options. I choose to turn them both on. I also leave the audio option at its default, which is both. And because I know that this meeting tomorrow is going to be with students, I am going to mute, and I'm also going to enable the waiting room. I don't have any alternative hosts, so then I would click save. So that's how you would make a one-time meeting. So I'm going to scroll back up here. And now I'm going to talk about how to do a reoccurring meeting, or one that meets weekly at the same time. So let's say you have a virtual office hours. Oops, I can't type. And we're going to do those every Tuesday at 11 Oh, no, not PM. That would be awful. And we're going to do it for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I'm going to click on reoccurring meeting. Now, if you notice, I have some choices every day until February 17th. So that's only one, that's 7 occurrence. That's not very many occurrences. So again, here you can have it weekly. So, and it will tell you how many weeks, and you can end it. Now, here's the interesting part, which I just found out the other day. So if I clicked on this and I actually wanted to schedule this for the entire semester, it wasn't letting me do that the other day. Oh, that's because it was daily. So weekly, you can schedule till the end of the semester, but if it's daily, you won't be able to schedule all the way out. So you could choose monthly, or you can fix no fixed time. So if you want a meeting and you don't know when you want to have it, but you know it's going to be reoccurring, then you could choose no fixed time. So what that does is means it's a reoccurring and it doesn't really have any date and it's not going on any calendar, so that you can just use it when you need it. I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, it will only allow me to go till the end of March. Okay, so now enough of me talking, because that's not much fun for you all. So I would like for you to schedule a new meeting. So if you would please go to your Zoom and follow the instructions that you see on the screen. I'll give you a little bit longer for this one. I'll give you 2.5 minutes. All right. So hopefully everybody was successful in at least beginning to schedule a meeting and figuring out kind of where things are. Once you have created that meeting, you have that meeting ID that you can then send in an email. You can put it in a Outlook calendar invite as the location. You have several options that you can choose to use that meeting ID for. So now we're going to talk about the Zoom meeting settings when you are the presenter. Now, because I am presenting, I decided that it would be slightly easier for me to show you all some screenshots. So I know that my screen is a little bit small, so I'm going to do a little zoom here. Oh, it's not getting any bigger, is it? Oops. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what all of the pictures are. When you log in and your Zoom meeting has started, you're going to have a bar at the bottom of your screen that fluctuates from actually being visible to being hidden so that you can see your entire screen. When you hover over that bar, each of the icons does different things. So what I did was I'm going to walk you through the entire bar going from left to right. So not much that you can really do at this point as far as following along except to watch. So the first icon is, of course, the microphone. And as you can see in the picture that's there, and I'm sorry that it's not bigger, but again, these slides will be yours forever after we're done, so you can take a look. You're going to see that you have the option that the microphone can either be on, and when it's on, it flashes green, or if a red slashes through it, then you're muted. Now, when I click the caret or the arrow that's right to the right of that microphone, I get the settings that you see pictured. Now, I have a bunch of microphones because I have a plug-in webcam, I have a webcam on my laptop, I have a microphone on my headset. So each one of those devices that I have is registering in this setting. So sometimes if you're someone is having trouble, you might want to come here and look and see which microphone and which speakers are chosen. Because there is, unless you have only one computer, then you won't have as many as I do. But if you don't have anything there, then that is a problem. You can always use your phone, however, to call in for Zoom. The other options that you might want to take a look at would be if you're having trouble or you want to test things out before anybody gets into the session, there is a test speaker and microphone option in that same panel. And you also have the ability to switch to phone audio, and then you have the main audio settings. So we're not going to talk about those. That's kind of far and in depth. So the next thing to the right of the microphone is the camera, which is obviously your video setting. Now, if you look at the picture on the bottom right of your screen, you're going to see that I only have a HD webcam and another 1MP webcam. So I only have 2 cameras to choose from. So you can either turn on the video or turn off the video from here. And again, the red slash through it means that the video is off. You can also test for both. In other words, you can see which camera, if you have multiple ones, you would prefer to use. And then you also have the main video settings. When I click on main settings, obviously I wasn't real happy when I took that picture. You have some options for your camera. You can decide if it's in widescreen. You can enable high definition. You can use a mirror effect. You also have the ability to add a virtual background. And then there are some advanced tools as well. And you also see that you have more options over on the left that are more advanced tools if you're having issues, or you can look up some keyboard shortcuts or accessibility. Okay, so now we're on to the next icon on the bottom of that bar. It's the little person with the plus sign. So if you click on that, this is going to be your invite settings. So these, your first tab is going to be your contacts. Now, those are the contacts in your email.vccs.edu account. So this is why you're going to have pages and pages and pages of them. You also do have the ability to toggle that to company specific. The next invite setting is a Zoom room. Some of your institutions already have Zoom rooms, so you can invite those Zoom rooms to your meeting. You have a room system. That's an advanced thing. And then you have email. But the two things you're going to want to make sure you know are the bottom two, which are right here. Copy URL and copy invitation. So let's say you're in a meeting, such as for this evening, and you have somebody emailing you or texting you saying, I can't get into the meeting. The fastest way to get them the URL is click on that copy URL, and then you can shoot it to them in an email or text message, or you can copy the entire invitation, which would also include the dial-in phone numbers. Okay, the next one to the right is Manage Participants. If you click on Manage Participants, you're going to see a very, and if you notice in the window here, they popped open, and you can see that I don't have any participants in this section. Sad little meeting I was having with myself. And you can see that over on the other image, you can see that I have an option to mute all or unmute all. And then if you click on the more in the caret, you now have even more options. And they are to mute participants upon entry. So let's say you didn't choose that option in your settings for the meeting, but you want to do that, you can do that from here. You can allow participants to unmute themselves, or if you don't want them to unmute themselves, you can uncheck that, as well as allow participants to rename themselves. You can play an enter and exit chime so you know when people are arriving. And you can enable a waiting room if you did not already have one. And you can lock the meeting so that no one else can come in. So those are your options for managing your participants. The next one is the most confusing and offers the most choices, which is the part we all like about Zoom, is to share your screen. So the green button that you're going to see in the middle of the bar is your share the screen. When you click on that caret, you are given a few options. One participant can share the screen at a time. In other words, your students would not be able to share their screens with you if you have this chosen, or other people in the meeting. Or multiple participants can share simultaneously. And then there are some advanced sharing options. So if you click on advanced sharing options, you're going to see the choices that we see over here on the right. Again, these are similar to the two that you already saw, but you also see that now you can see who can share and who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. Now, in the bottom left, which is this image here, when you click on share your screen, you're going to get this window that pops open. Now, obviously, when I took this screenshot, I had a lot of stuff open on my desktop. So I could choose whether it was screen 1, screen 2, or screen 3, and that means you're going to share every single thing that's on those screens. So that means if you happen to be in a meeting and you share that screen and you go to something else, then everyone in the meeting is going to see whatever you change to. The next thing on the top row is a whiteboard. So you do have a whiteboard that you can use if you need to draw or diagram or do equations or things like that. You also have applications. So for example, I happen to use the program Snip and Sketch, and that is this image that's down here. So I could share just a single application rather than an entire screen. The next one is simply the browsers that I was using, And the only other application on my computer that was open at that time was Microsoft Outlook. So those are the things that you have some options when you're sharing your screen. Now, at the very bottom of that, you also have the ability to share computer sound. So if you are playing a YouTube video, you're probably going to want to choose that option so that your participants can also hear the video. And you can also see that next to that, it says optimize screen sharing for video clips, which you would also want to choose if you were using a YouTube video. The next thing, which you can't see, was at the very top. There were two little things. One said basic, one says advanced. If you click on advanced, you are given a couple of other options. You can share just a portion of your screen. You can share only the sound from your computer, or content from a second camera, such as obviously the picture here is a document camera in a classroom. So after the share settings, the next icon is your chat. So which is where you all are chatting. If you have the participant window open and you open the chat and your screen is not full size, because you see this little right here in the right-hand corner says enter full screen. That just tells you that when I took this image, my screen was not. It was much smaller than my entire screen. So here is where you have your group to chat. So once there are things that start being said, you're going to see that there would be the text would fall in this area right here. When you're chatting, you can chat to everyone. And then if you click on the three dots right here on the right, you do have the ability to kind of control some of the chat. In other words, participants can chat with no one, only you. If you wanted it as a class chat and you only want your students to be able to chat with you, that would be an option. They can chat with everyone publicly or everyone publicly and privately. If you want to chat with someone privately, you would go to the everyone button and click on the caret, and it will bring up the list of participants, and you can click directly on their name and chat with them privately. The next option is your record option. I said earlier that you do have the ability to record to your computer or to the cloud. Your students, however, will only have the option to record to their device or their computer. When you are recording to the cloud, it does take a little time, and those videos will show back up in your Zoom account. But you will receive an email that states when the Zoom recording is ready. The last little option on the bar is reactions. So you can use those reactions to agree with things in the chat. So you have a clapping of the hands and a thumbs up. So if you would be so kind as to go into your chat area now and give me a thumbs up if I have not gone too fast to this point. That's your only activity for this part. All right, let's keep on going. All right, so this is my little activity for you after this webinar, because you can't have a Zoom meeting running while we're in a Zoom meeting. So I do want you, though, after we're finished, to go ahead and start a Zoom meeting and test your microphone and your video option, and then you can choose a couple other things for your session and practice sharing your screen. So you can check that out after we're done. Now I'm going to talk to you about the Zoom Mobile. So I have my students meet me virtually one time at the beginning of the semester, and I had 28 students, and 24 of them did do it, and 24 out of 24 did it from their mobile device. So students are using their mobile devices to attend Zoom meetings. So again, I'm going to show you some pictures and I'll walk you through the process. But again, this slide deck will be available to you following this webinar. So first you're going to go to your app store, iTunes or Google Play. You're going to search for the Zoom app. It is a little blue square with a little white camera. You're going to download that app, and then when you start the app, the first screen you're going to get to is going to be this first image that you see here. You have several options, but the key here is that you do not need to create a new account. You do not need to put your email address and password in, and you don't need to connect it to Facebook. What you're going to click on is the SSO option. When you click on the SSO option, which is single sign-on, you're going to see this very small window pop open, and it's going to ask you to enter your company's domain. Your domain is VCCS. When you click that, the next screen is going to be your whatever college you go to, or my VCCS, and you're going to type in the same Canvas username and password that you use to get into Canvas. Once you are in, the first screen that you're going to see is this one on the left. That screen gives you some options to start a new meeting, to join a meeting, to schedule, or to even share your phone screen. At the very bottom of that image that you see, you also see that has meetings as well as chat, and then it has next to that to schedule the meeting, and then contacts, and then settings. The next, if you click on the next little icon that is at the bottom of your phone screen, you're going to see meetings. These are the meetings that are already scheduled. You also see that at the top, I have my personal meeting ID. So if somebody already had my ID and they were like, hey, I need to have a Zoom meeting with you, then I could click start and we could instantly start having our meeting. I also have the ability, as you can see from the scheduled meetings, to start them as well. The next thing you're going to see is contacts. Now, I'm going to tell you that when I did this on my personal phone, the first thing that it wanted to do was access my phone contacts. I did not allow that. When I did that, it did give me these two options to connect to my company contacts. And as you see, there are 5,305 contacts. So you do have that option. And you can also see that you can connect to 10 Zoom rooms. When you click on settings, there were a lot of these. So you do have the settings for meetings, and that's going to be that will be the second image here. And you can connect to audio. You can always mute your own microphone. You can always turn off your own video. You can show video preview. You can auto copy the meeting link, and you can show non-video participants if you want to. So you do have meeting settings available in your mobile devices. The next thing down in the settings, actually it's not down, it's up, is the profile. So again, I could actually add a profile picture from here, and it would go over to my other Zoom, so that if you have a great selfie on your phone and you want that to be your image for your profile in Zoom, you can add that from your device as well. There are some other things here. I did not touch any of them, so they all are the current defaults. So if you want to play around with those, you can. You can also set your personal link name from here. And then these are your chat options, which includes all messages, only private messages or mentions, nothing. So you can decide on how you're going to receive notifications in a meeting. And then you can also decide what you want to do with unread messages. So now, my last activity for you for this evening is for you to download the Zoom app and try logging in with your single sign-on username and password for your institution. Make sure that when you do, it's probably going to ask you to allow your microphone and camera to be accessed. And then if you want, you can put the following meeting ID in, and then you're actually going to see this meeting on your mobile device. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. My chat facilitator and all my compadres are doing a fabulous job with keeping up. So 2 minutes, ready, set, go. I should also note that you can put this on your tablets as well. Okay, I think a couple of you actually were able to join with your mobile device, so I'm going to consider that a total win. If you did not, that's okay, because again, we're going to tell you how to find all of this stuff from this session. So this evening, I have gone over a great deal of things that Zoom can do. We customized your profile. We customized your personal meeting room setting. We practiced scheduling a meeting. We explored the Zoom meeting settings, and then we downloaded a Zoom mobile app. So I think that you guys really got a great taste of all of the things that Zoom can do. And again, this was a basic session. We did not cover a lot of the advanced settings, but for the purpose of this webinar, it was really to kind of focus on having a meeting with students, virtual office hours, something that is fairly basic. So now it is time for you all to go zooming on out of here. So I hope everyone enjoyed the webinar, and we would like for you to let us know how we did. If you would be so kind as to, on your browser, go to that link that you see, and it is case sensitive. Please make sure that you have the capital letters that you see there. And if you would please complete that survey and let us know how we did, what you enjoyed, and hopefully we will see you all back again. And I think the next webinar, if I'm correct, I believe is let's do things in groups, and we'll be talking about group settings and how to set up groups in Canvas. Again, if you have any questions, we're going to hang around here for a little bit. And now if you'd like to unmute yourself and chat, you may feel free to do so.